Good evening, guys. Welcome to the 20th edition of the Boxing Gossip podcast. And tonight it's going to be an extremely packed show. We're going to look back to all of the action that happened last week. Loads and loads of stuff to talk about. We're going to look at the fighters who are involved in the fights last week and discuss where they may turn up next and how they're going to do against some of the best name opposition in their respective weight divisions. We're going to have a look ahead to next week where there's some truly excellent boxing. We're going to be talking Anthony Ogogo. There really is a very, very busy list today, so we're going to move through at quite a pace. I'm going to probably have to push it along more than I usually do to make sure we have enough time to get everything in. First and foremost, before we get started, quick shout out to everyone who joined in with the podcast last week. Last week we got 3,300 views, which is the personal best by quite some margin. So big shout out to everyone who tuned in last week. We got near on 100 people clicking the thumbs up button. So massively, massively appreciated. Don't know if we'll beat it this week, but we'll try our best. So yeah, thanks very, very much to the support. We have got Jet, Paul and Tom on the panel tonight. Suri may well be joining very, very shortly. Hopefully he is. Apologies, we're starting a few minutes later tonight. That's my fault. I was having a few IT issues. But let's start by bringing in Paul. And I wanted to bring in Paul because he actually attended last week's fight night at the O2 in person. So Paul, first and foremost, tell us about that, mate. Did you enjoy your night? Was it a good experience, etc.?
Yeah. Evening, Sherry. It was a good experience. It's a bit of a debacle getting there because my cousin decided to mess around. I'm about 100 miles away from London, so my cousin who was driving, so I couldn't be too hard on him, and decided to mess around for quite a bit, and we got there pretty late. Luckily, I had pre-booked parking when I found out he was going to be driving, because otherwise we'd have probably been lucky to even get there in time to see the main event. Got there just about 5 minutes before the Charlie Edwards and Casemiro ring walks. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It was atmosphere was really good. It was packed. Enjoyed the fights. Obviously, the main event didn't, from a British standpoint, didn't go as well as many of us had hoped, but kind of like we really knew it wasn't going to, I guess, really, and in most cases. I mean, first thing I wanted to say was like massive respect to Kell Brook. He really did give it everything, and kind of like when you think about it, a lot of fighters would have probably stayed on their stool when they started to see 3 Gennady Golovkins. Looking back at them, like the X-rays.
One is bad enough, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so the X-rays have emerged, and that looks like it was a legit injury. And myself and Tom were kind of texting at the time, like, and it was you actually said it, Tom. I bet his orbital was gone, and turns out that was right. But it was a good fight. I tell you what, when we were only about, like, I want to say it was either 5 rows or 6 rows back, you can half like notice how hard this guy punches. Jesus Christ, you could hear that, like from some of them shots, you could like really get a sense of much more so than you can like watching a video or whatever. It was quite clear to me that he couldn't carry on. It was the writing was really on the wall for him. But so brave, Cal, and really enjoyed it overall. So yeah.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. What was the atmosphere like during the undercard fights? Because to me, they I'm going to be honest, I thought it was I guess you never know quite how bad an undercard's going to be till you've watched it. But for me, it was an appalling undercard in terms of entertainment.
Yeah, it wasn't great. There was some booing, during the not the Charlie Edwards fight. I'm so sorry. I was forgetting names of even of boxers.
Haskins.
Yeah, the Haskins fight. Yeah, there was some booing a little bit of booing during the Haskins fight. But the atmosphere was still pretty good. It really only died once Dominic Ingle grabbed that towel and threw it into the ring. I guess it kind of died a bit then.
Was the booing really bad when that happened? Because on TV it sounded like it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And one of Kell's entourage was going a bit mad as well. Not sure whether it was like his cousin or brother or something. Like right after he threw the towel, he's because we were not on the side that they are, but on the side sort of like 90 degrees to that. So we could kind of like see that side quite well, and he was kind of trying to look like he was trying to get to Dominic Ingle to have a go at him or something, but I guess my first thoughts were that it was early, but obviously they knew a lot more than we did, and with hindsight, that was a good move. It was a good stoppage for me.
Yeah, I think I agree, mate. It's one of them things. When I watched it initially, I did think it was quite an early stoppage, but yeah, in hindsight, having heard about the full circumstances, and I guess Ingle was in the best position to make the decision, having been in the corner. Tom, let me bring you in, mate. And before I do, I think everyone on the panel pretty much got the fight right in terms of how it was going to go. I thought we were all a united front in that sense, anyway. But obviously, you're not surprised by the result. Let me ask, were you surprised by how the fight developed in terms of some of the action in there?
Well, not too surprised, to be honest with you. I think we expected Kell to have faster hands and maybe faster feet, but we thought that Golovkin would just be able to hit him too hard and just break him down. But I don't think we expected Golovkin to go batshit mental, because he just, you saw in the build-up, he said, "Oh, we'll have street fight," and you kind of thought he was kind of joking, but he really fucking meant it. I think he was really pissed off that he had to fight Kell Brook, to be honest with you. I don't think he respected him. He didn't respect his power, and once he didn't respect his power, he just decided to go Hagler Hearns and just turn it into a brawl. I think he really wanted to fucking end it as soon as he could. So people are thinking that people are kind of slating the performance a bit. He brutalized Kell. It took him 2 rounds to break his skull, and then he bet him fucking senseless. And at that time where Kell was when it was stopped, just before it was stopped, he was battering Kell, and Kell walked and held onto the ropes. He went to walk and to move his feet, but his feet actually weren't working, and he had to hold onto the rope, and he was avoiding shots coming in at him, Kell, when he was on the ropes, but he was also getting hit too. I thought it was pretty obvious his eye was bust from fairly early. He was really dabbing his eye, and it wasn't from a cut. If you're dabbing your eye, it's from blood dripping in to your eyeball, so you can't really see it. And the cut was on the side, if there was a cut, So to me, it was obvious that he had broken something and that it was just going to get stopped. I was surprised that Kell showed such a good chin. I thought there were parts in it where he put good combinations together, and I think, I don't know if anybody saw the punch stats from the fight. Did you see the punch stats, Gossel?
No.
Right, so in every round, Golovkin outlanded him. So he landed more punches in every single round, and the punches he landed were definitely harder. I don't know if you saw the HBO interview afterwards with Golovkin, and Bernard Hopkins was there, and he was just basically saying, it was like a spar. He felt Kell's power and thought it was this is just like sparring. I'm just going to go in there and mill him. So, and I think you can make a case for Kell for winning the second round, because I think he had a better, cleaner work. But apart from that, when you see those scorecards coming in, on two of the judges they gave it the first card to Golovkin. You know, the fix is in when people have Golovkin or Brook winning 3-1 and that. How could you possibly have Kell Brook winning 3-1?
Let me ask you a question, Tom, because in my post-fight video, I said that Golovkin didn't feel Kell Brook's power at all. I said that Kell's power clearly was not enough to bother Golovkin. Kell was hitting him with some fantastic punches, and Golovkin was just smiling. But a lot of people commented and said that I was an idiot and that Golovkin was buzzed several times. What's your take on that, mate?
Like, what did we mean by buzzed? Like, in the first round when he caught Kell with the body shot up against the ropes, Kell was fucking buzzed, like he nearly dropped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, when he caught Golovkin flush, and he caught him with one really good uppercut he caught him with. Like, what happened in that? If you actually look at it in slow motion, Golovkin's eyes were open and looking at Kell as he was being punched and after it being punched. And all it managed to do was get him to reset. You know, it was like a good shot, but it wasn't like, that was like about as good a punch as Kell would hope to land in that fight, I think. And, you know, Golovkin just like ate it, reset, and came back after him. You know, I just think they look like two different weight classes. And the thing is, Kell showed a very good chin, so I think he was able to carry the weight fairly well. But like, I was texting my mate during the fight, and after about 3 rounds, he was going, Jesus, why are we getting upset? And I was texting him and said, like, you know, just give it 3 rounds, you know, just 3 rounds. Because, like, you could see that Kell was gassed. He wasn't able to carry that weight. Did you see the size of his quads when he weighed in?
Yeah, he put it on muscle, didn't he? And all of that muscle was a negative in the end.
Massive negative. And, like, the thing is, like, Kell Brook, like, I was slating this fight before it happened, like, saying that Golovkin could seriously ruin him. Like, he broke his orbital bone. Like, I only know of 2 boxers that got their orbital bone broken, high-profile ones. One was Paulie Malignaggi. I think that was against Cotto. But Paulie managed to come back from it. The other one was against Pac-Man when he did it to, what do you call him? Margarito, that's right, Jet. When he did it to Margarito, and he's been fucked ever since. So this is a good chance that there's a good chance Kell will be, his career could take a fucking nosedive after this. And the other thing is, he's going to have to lose 6 pounds of muscle, because there's no fat on him. He's going to have to lose 6 pounds of muscle to go down and do 154. It's not like it was just water, and you look at him, he had extra muscle. Like, when boxers tend to try and go down the weights and lose their muscle is when they struggle more. Like, that's when they fuck their career up. Look what happened to Roy Jones Jr. when he came back from heavyweight, or when Oscar tried to make 147 again. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kell comes back and he's not the fighter he was, because Golovkin has this ability to ruin fighters. Have we seen anybody after Golovkin went through them that's looked the same?
No. I think you're right, mate. As far as I'm concerned, there's like a trail of that. To be fair, he's kind of, there's a few fighters like Lemieux and stuff. It's kind of too early to say, but yeah, you're right. He's left a bit of a trail of devastation, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be facing 4 or 5 Golovkins. The other thing I'd like to say is that, like, last week was probably my least favorite week in boxing, to be honest with you. Like, never had to put up with, I can't remember having to put up with so much rubbish all over the internet and all over all these so-called boxing pundits, all lying, all company men. Like, you know, the only fella that was probably not a company man was probably Matthew Macklin, that was actually working the gig or doing these interviews beforehand, and it's like, it's fucking sickening. Like, and I don't know. I heard another podcast talking about, like, I don't know, like, about how fighters get treated, and there was some post by Tyler Goodjohnson, I think. Is that his name? He's British level.
Tyler Goodjohn,
yeah. What's his name again, Jet? Sorry.
Tyler Goodjohn. He's a English British level 140 guy, I think.
Yeah, Tyler Goodjohn, and like, he was saying that when he fought on a matchroom card, because he's not like a big name or whatever, and he got his nose smashed up, and he got both of his eyes badly swollen. And after selling £26,000 worth of tickets, when the medical advice was to send him to hospital, that he ended up having to go out and flag a cab down for himself. So, you know, this idea that these promoters give a shit about their fighters. Look what happened to Kell Brook's face, and let's see if he's ever fucking the same again.
Well, Kell Brook will be brought back because he, you know, it's one of them things where his loss has actually gained him huge profile off the back of it. But yeah, let me bring you in, Jet. I've got a question for you, Jet. Obviously, the performance from Golovkin, in my opinion, he fought to the level of opposition in front of him. Because he wasn't scared of a welterweight and a welterweight's power, he abandoned his jab, he abandoned his technique, and he went for a street fight, as Irish Tom said. Now, a lot of people are thinking Eubank, Saunders, maybe they could beat him. And my opinion is perhaps they could beat him if he turned up and performed in exactly the same way. But in reality, I don't think they do have much of a chance because I think a completely different Golovkin turns up to fight them. What's your take on that one, mate?
Yeah, you know what, with Saunders, Saunders is a tough one. He's very skilled. He's good at what he does. I could see him giving GGG some problems, but I think in the end he'd probably get stopped quite late on. But if he could keep it up and he comes, you know, I think we all know he's not a 160 sort of guy. If he's properly disciplined, he's a 154 sort of fighter. But if he comes in decent condition and he can pace himself in the fight, certainly not like the Eubank fight, he can give GGG a lot of problems. But yeah, I mean, he done it against David Lemieux because I think he was not scared of the power, but he knew David Lemieux had big knockout power. He saw what he did to Hassan and Dam. He knocked him down 4 times and won the IBF title. I think he will always fight to the level of opposition. And people will say, oh, it's Kell Brook. Kell Brook showed he has fantastic skills in there, don't get me wrong. But he had no respect for him whatsoever. From the first bell, you could tell he was hunting him. He didn't cut off the ring as well as he should have. You know, he was a bit slow on his feet, to be honest. Some sort of suggestions that he came over late. I think he came over with 6 days to spare before the fight. So he came on the Monday, I think it was, or the Sunday night. So he might be jet lagged from Los Angeles. Some people are saying that as well. But, you know, he always fights at the level of opposition, but there are definite flaws. Paulie Malignaggi was saying throughout the whole fight, I don't know if you guys were listening to the Sky commentary or the HBO commentary, but he was on Sky and he was saying the one biggest flaw with Golovkin is that he doesn't move his head. And it showed in this fight. Brook was hitting him clean, hitting him with a nice uppercut in round 2. And people were saying, in reference to your point that you made before, you and Irish Tom, about the sort of, he didn't respect Kell Brook's power, welterweight's power, and if he hit him, he got buzzed. I don't think he got buzzed at all. I think he certainly got his attention, and that's not to say the shots were powerful, but he knew he was in a fight, and he goes, "All right, I'll turn up the heat and put it on Brook," and which he did, and obviously broke his eye socket. And in reference to the stoppage as well, you know, the stoppage was fair for me. You don't want a fighter going out there, and you don't want another Nick Blackwell situation, another Pritchard Colon situation. You want your fighters to be, you know, healthy and go home well to their families. He's done a massive paycheck, and he can be, you know, he can be happy with his effort. He's put in, you know, a gigantic effort, and no one can discredit his performance. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Brook versus Golovkin.
What was Brandon Ingle like waving his towel? He was like some woman from a 1920s film waving off her lover at a train station. What the fuck? What happened to people throwing a towel into the ring?
Yeah. He eventually threw it in, and it was too late, I think. Like, by the time he threw it in, Brook was taking about 20 to 30 punches at that point, I think. He was getting busted up real bad.
He should have just thrown it at Golovkin and then let Kell deck him.
Yeah. Yeah, let's. I've got some more questions to ask you guys on this, but let's just go to Seri first. Seri, how are you doing?
How you doing, lads? You right?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Give us your take on the night and the fight as a whole, mate.
Yeah, you know, well, it kind of went how I guess we kind of predicted, but I think Kell Brook Surprised quite a lot of people in terms of the performance that he did put on. Don't get it twisted. Of course, look, he did get smashed around a bit towards the end, but I think it was a very valiant effort. It was it's one of those things. I think the Canelo Khan fight and this fight, they were similar in terms of how it went down. They started well. Forget the amount of rounds that Amir Khan or Kell Brook actually won. It's just a matter of how they looked. They looked like they were doing pretty well until they got hit a few times, and that's kind of where the story unfolds, isn't it? They're getting hit a few times by bigger, stronger guys who have got game-changing power. With Canelo and Golovkin, they're just too big, too strong, and they've got the skill to be in the right place to hit you at the right time. I think with Golovkin and Brook, obviously, look, it wasn't a vintage Golovkin performance, but I think, like you've just said and you've touched on, this wasn't David Lemieux in front of him, who's a big puncher at the weight. We saw what he did in that fight. We were sold before the fight that it's going to be Hagler Hearns, but Golovkin went on there and established a dominant jab for 8 rounds and stopped him. Clearly, he didn't respect Kell Brook's power. He wasn't worried. He went out there like you said, like a madman, like a barbarian. He looked a bit too wild at times. He missed, and I felt like he was missing a lot of punches. To be honest with you, I didn't feel like he was very accurate. But obviously, as Tom pointed out, if you see the punch stats, he did outland Brook in every single round. But yeah, so for me, I think the damage to the eye socket was obviously a big thing, and that says it all right there. These sort of these circus style matchups with guys jumping up 2 weight divisions or whatever, they need to stop because someone is going to get badly hurt. I think Golovkin, the initial damage came in the second round when he caught him with a jab. Literally put it that simply, but I think that started off in the first round. When he got him on the ropes initially in the first round and caught him with the left hook to the body, came over the top with the left hook that wobbled Brook. I actually thought Brook was going to go down, but luckily he held on. But I think that initially might have hurt him on the right eye, and then Golovkin kind of kept going to the same place, and it's damaged his eye socket, hasn't it? It's pretty bad. But I think Brook did very well. He landed some very good shots, crisp combinations. If I'm honest with you, if you look back at the highlight reel, a lot of the punches, the cleaner punches landed by Brook, as far as I'm concerned. It's just, unfortunately, the punches that he landed had no effect on him. Golovkin's chin was too good. I think Brook maybe stunned him on 1 or 2 occasions, but I don't think he hurt him. There's a difference between being stunned and being hurt. Golovkin...
It's nonsense, all the people saying he was hurt. Yeah.
Hurt would be if you wobble and take a few steps back. I didn't see Golovkin take any steps back. I saw him reset himself in terms of his stance, but I didn't see him step back 2 or 3 times, and anything of that sort. So people are getting twisted. You've got to look. I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to say it as before. Irish Tom's probably going to blast me as soon as he gets a chance. But I had Brook up 3-1 until I rewatched the fight a few times. I rewatched it 2 to 3 times, and now I've got I had Golovkin 3-1. But that's not because I'm trying to change my opinion on how the fight went. It's just a matter of, it's similar to what you did, Tom, when you watched Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. You had Sean Porter winning, then you watched it a few times and you saw why Keith Thurman won, and that's kind of what happened for me.
But Terry, I agree with you. Well, the thing is, the commentary was so unbelievably biased.
Exactly.
It's impossible to watch a boxing match with Sky. If you watch the... it's not like HBO didn't do it for the Gonzalez one, which we'll talk about later, but it was amazingly biased.
Exactly.
Kell would put 6 punches together at the end of a round, and they go, "Oh, he's rocked him, he's back on his heels." How do you? It just completely changes your idea of actually what went on in the fight.
Exactly, and I feel ashamed to admit this live on air, but it clearly looks like I was swayed.
Yeah, I think I was as well. Sorry, to be honest, though, the amount of times you were hearing about the uppercut, he's hurt, and they weren't. With Golovkin, some of the punches he was throwing were really poor. I mean, which is not what you expect from Golovkin, but real wide, sloppy leap.
Missing them all, yeah.
I've never seen that from him before. But I think what it is we just don't see that from him when he's fighting someone like Lemieux. He's all discipline. But I think that people saying that Kell Brook hurt him, I mean, Kell Brook's power was such little threat to Golovkin that he was prepared to completely abandon his technique and, zoom in like that.
I don't know if you boys seen the post-fight interview and post-fight press conference, and GGG was there, and he was like, "It was a street fight," and he's like, I like boxing. You could see that he fucking enjoyed this street fight. He was buzzing after actually having a proper tear up. I don't know. Yeah. During the week, I was reading his Wikipedia page, and it's there's a bit in it where they're saying when he was like a teenager, his brothers used to go around the streets of the city or whatever he was from and pick fights put him in with older men and see just have him like street fighting every night.
Yeah.
So like he's a proper hard ass, like, and he fucking, I think he was extremely pissed off at having to fight this fight. I think he thinks it's kind of an insult to be fighting these welterweights. It's something that fucking Canelo does. He doesn't want any part of it, and he wants to clean up the middleweight. The other thing I'd like to say as well is, like, what you call it, when he caught him after 90 seconds on the ropes, I thought the fight was going to be ended. And to be honest with you, I really wish it did end like that, because it would have been fucking egg and all this sky high fucking bullshit. Like, all the bullshit that was talked about this fight, particularly in the last week, I thought it would have been fitting. But, like, fair play to Kell. He's got a hell of a chin. That's one thing he showed us that we never knew he had. He's got a hell of a chin. And he's got a lot of balls, but it says a lot about the state of fucking boxing, where this is the shit we're served up. Like, you know, in the past, people talked about people going up and doing these kind of weight things, but the people who did it were super elite. Emil Griffith in 1950, whatever the fuck, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, you're talking Roy Jones, you know, these are the people you're talking about who can do these jumps. People with super elite, slick boxers, usually with very good speed. Like, Kell is a good fighter, but he's not super elite. So any of these things are just dangerous mismatches, and it's for promoters to make fucking money off and fellas to get hurt in.
Yeah, I want to say I couldn't agree more with that. You know, like, if it had been a different trainer in his corner, and he and you know, like, we've had these comments this week now from the Eubanks, like, you know, like, our corner men don't have towels, and I've seen an interview with him. We shouldn't, you know, like, with that orbital bone broken, with more sustained punishment. Look at what could have happened. I mean, I couldn't agree more with. I think Sherry touched on it as well. I think we've got to. I don't want to see these, like, extreme mismatches anymore. You know.
Sorry, carry on.
No, I mean, I got all hyped up for this fight, just the same as everybody else did. But I've kind of, like, been thinking about it a lot the last few days, and I kind of really don't want to see this kind of thing again, if I'm honest.
You know what it is? It's the best way to sum these sort of matches up. You know, there's this Khan, Canelo, and Golovkin, Brook. They're literally fantasy matchups, aren't they? In terms of guys crossing weight divisions. You know, like in WWE, you can go on a game and you can match up Hulk Hogan against John Cena. It's stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Guys from different weight classes, different worlds, who have never tasted, you know, the power of a bigger guy. They're jumping in the ring. It's just that it's like that sort of appeal where it's what if, you know, it's like the walking the tightrope and all that. And it's not going to happen in this day and age. You're not going to see a fighter like that. There's only one fighter who was around, which was Mayweather, who could maybe compete with these guys, but even then he's too small. I'm not going to delve too far into that because the comment section will just blow up into another debate. But what I mean, like, is
Mayweather's a small 147. He should probably be a 140 fighter.
He's too small anyway. But in general, you know, in terms of just elite, you know, overall class, he's a guy that can fight in, you know, 2 to 3 weight divisions and look spectacular regardless. You know. But
guys, I'm going to bring it back in for a second because I'm worried about times and stuff. So what I'm going to do, I've got a few questions and I want to whip round the entire panel. But the catch is, you've got to answer the question in one word.
You're listening, Paul.
One word and one word only. So the first question, and there's going to be 4 rounds to this, I'm after a number. And the question is, what percentage chance do you give Chris Eubank Jr. of beating Gennady Golovkin? Tom?
Probably about 8 or 9%.
One word, Tom.
9%.
That's Tom. Siri?
20%.
Paul?
10%.
Jet?
10%.
Okay. What percentage do you give Canelo of beating Golovkin? Tom?
Sorry, I'm thinking. You have to come back to me in a second.
Siri?
40%.
Fucking hell. Wow. Paul?
20.
Jet?
30.
Tom?
I don't know. I'm going to say 20%, but I'll have to think about it longer.
I would give Canelo, personally, I'd give Canelo 10%, no more. Laura, Jet,
0.
Paul,
5.
Siri,
20%.
Tom.
3%.
Final round. Billy Joe Saunders, Jet.
Oh,
Fucking hell.
30%.
Sorry, say again, mate.
30.
30. Paul.
Oh shit. 35.
I'm making you work for your money tonight, guys. Siri
35. I'm with Paul.
and Tom.
I give him about 14-15%.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. I think the guys have been way too generous, and I'm a huge Billy Joe fan. So this is interesting because that was just a very small poll. You know, all four of you, very, very knowledgeable boxing fans. I would say personally that having watched that fight, you guys are now giving opponents a much higher chance of beating Golovkin than we were giving maybe a week or two ago. So is there anyone in the panel who does maybe think that having seen what they've seen on the weekend, Golovkin is more beatable?
No.
No, I think the opposite. I think my stats probably haven't changed, to be honest with you.
But how are we giving Canelo a 30 or 40% chance of beating Golovkin? How are we saying that if they fight 10 times, Canelo's going to win 3 or 4?
That wasn't me, but I think Canelo, though, you see, has a good chin, and I think he's big at the weight, and I think he's a good counter puncher, and he's got better speed. So I think he's got quite a few attributes going for him. But he's never fought a big guy like Golovkin, and Golovkin punches fucking hard, and Golovkin might be able to keep him on his jab and break him down. So I think he's got some attributes, you know. He's got speed.
I'll tell you what, this weekend hasn't changed my view of him at all. Personally, and I'm not sure whether it is that he was ill, because you know we had all that sort of like people. I really thought he did look ill. I thought he looked gaunt, and I think it's not beyond the. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that he was a bit ill, and that partially explains the way he fought. And somebody has said, you know, don't say anything about that because this is going to make people want to fight you now. And if that is true in any way, then it worked because Billy Joe Saunders seems to be chomping at the bit now. You know.
I agree with you, Paul, but the only thing I'd say is that when I saw him in the interview, like the post-fight and conference and all that, he looked fine. Although he did look paler. I agree. He didn't look as rosy or as flush. But
he looked pale.
He did look pale, but he seemed fairly lively in the post. Maybe he was just going off adrenaline still.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like, I think it's in his interest. All these guys calling him out now, I think a lot of them have been shamed into it by a fucking welterweight doing it.
Yeah, true.
And I also think let's not ignore the commercials here. I mean, Golovkin is now at an all-time high in terms of the earning potential you can get off him, and in terms of his you know how well known he is amongst the UK fans, including the casual market. So Billy Joe Saunders Golovkin is a much bigger fight this week than it was last week, as far as I'm concerned, and
definitely
that's had a big impact. Let me ask about Kell Brook, guys, because we've talked a lot about Golovkin. Let's ask about Kell Brook. I think we'll all agree that Brook performed with credit. He showed a lot of ability in there, but fundamentally he came up short, and he came up short by a good margin, which I think we were all united in terms of our prediction. What weight class is Kell Brook going to be best at? Because 154 is the obvious answer, but for me, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, there's no big. Well, I'm not saying there's no big fights for him, but yeah, 154. It's not the glamour division of 147 and 160, and you get the monsters at 154, like Charlo and Andrade. These are guys who are 6 foot tall. These are guys with no risk reward factor. Sherry, what division do you think he'll end up at, mate?
I think most likely they're gonna throw him in at 154. But like you just said, there's a lot of good fighters who probably haven't got the mass name appeal and the whole glitz and glamour, like you said, of the 147-pound division. But I think that's his next feasible destination. I don't think he's gonna kill himself to make it back to 147, and especially if he vacates his title and then goes back to 147, it looks silly. And I can't see him, after this fight, going down to 147, killing himself, and then fighting Errol Spence. I don't think it makes any sense. That's obviously a 50-50 fight as well, or close to 50-50. But I think 154, fight a few, subpar, level guys, and take it from there.
Jet, what about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I don't see him going down to 147 again. Just think he's put on too much muscle. I don't think he's comfortable anymore at the weight. It reminds me sort of how Frampton was, in terms of they're both very skilled and that sort of stuff, and they perform much better at higher weights. Obviously, Brook went up 2 weights to face Golovkin, and Frampton went up to face Santa Cruz. But they definitely look better at the higher weight than killing themselves and draining themselves down to make a 122 and 147 respectively. So yeah, I think 154, but it will be hard with the sort of top guys: Andrade, Charlo, Austin Trout, Erislandy Lara, Jack Colsey, Liam Smith, Canelo. It will be, he's got a good chance against the Liam Smith Canelo winner, but the other fights are very, very tough, very, very tough fights.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he could fight Liam Smith, I guess. Maybe
money in it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Frank would let Liam Smith go over to Sky if Liam were to lose to Canelo. Yeah, we'll have to see. It's interesting, but maybe Kell Brook. I mean, maybe he'll go down the catchweight route now and just target the big fights. Maybe Canelo at 155. Maybe Miguel Cotto. Maybe Amir Khan. I mean, what I'm getting at is maybe Kell will abandon the search to be a world champion and abandon the search to unify belts and maybe market himself out as a big name opponent for catchweight fights. Tom, what's your take on that, mate?
Well, I think he'll never ever go to 147 again. He'll probably do 154. It's a fairly stacked division. But like if Eddie Hearn is going to be making a big thing about bringing over Jesse Vargas, you can definitely sell these things. Eddie Hearn says, "Oh, he can't sell that fight when he doesn't want the fight." He's a good salesman. He can sell shite to a fucking dung beetle. So, the one thing I'd say is that I think Kell showed a great chin, and I think he showed heart in that fight, but I don't think he showed good boxing skills. I'd recommend people to he put together some flashy combinations, but his game plan was I don't even fucking know what his game plan was. He stood and traded with a guy who's got ultimate power, the best middleweight knockout artist in fucking 20 years. So I don't agree that he fought a smart fight. I think if anybody wants to have a look at the tactics of what he used, I'd recommend Barry Robinson does some analysis training videos, and he done one of the first round of what Golovkin and Brook were doing, and I think he didn't fight a good fight. I think that his boxing IQ kind of got found out a bit. He's fundamentally quite sound, but his boxing IQ I don't think is as high as people are making out. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comment. I mean, what on earth was he? How was he going to win that fight? I guess maybe he bought into his power and stuff and was hoping that he'd knock him out. But yeah, dubious tactics in hindsight. Paul, what about yourself, mate? Where do you see Kell Brook ending up?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he fought on emotion rather than using any kind of boxing IQ. Or I think he kind of because he said after the fight, didn't he? I looked across and thought, he's just a man. And I think he kind of I think that was what made him want to stand and trade, right? More to kind of prove something. I think he wanted to prove a point or something. I don't know, but I think probably your idea about catch weights and trying to get big fights might be might be pretty sound actually, because I also don't think he's going to go down to 147 again, because let's be honest, that Errol Spence is what's waiting for him down there. The other thing is, I don't know if anybody's considered this, but people are talking about him for the winner of Canelo Smith and stuff. With this orbital injury, do we think it's likely that he's going to be back fighting in 3 months' time? I don't.
No chance.
No.
Even 6 months' time, I very much doubt it.
He could be out for He could be out for 9 months. He'll get a good payday for that fight, but then he'll probably miss 2 fights.
Easy. So he's not getting the winner of Canelo Khan. That's like,
and the first fight
quite a bit when he's ready to fight again. The landscape's going to have changed a bit, I think.
And the first fight he'll come back with, Paul, they're not going to put him in with a puncher.
Exactly.
So it'll be a year before he fights a big name.
So forget about, Canelo, Smith, anything like that. I think it's just because of the injury. I think it's just there's too many unknown factors to even be able to say anything really, kind of predict what he's going to do next. I don't think he'll come back to 147, but ever. But will he even box again? I mean, that's an injury that can be career-ending, and certainly I don't think he'd be back before a year's time from now.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if you guys are spot on. The only thing is Eddie Hearn, maybe, Kell's 30, he's had a big loss. Maybe he's not going to bring him back with kid gloves. I mean, this isn't Anthony Joshua we're talking about. Kell Brook has only been a profitable entity for the last week, and maybe Eddie Hearn will be prepared to bring him back straight away into a big fight and, try and make some more money off him when the interest is peaked and when the momentum is there in his profile. But yeah, I think you guys aren't far wrong. Do you know what? I know it's terrible because there were 2 British world title fights. I have very limited interest in discussing this undercard.
That's 3 actually.
Who was the 3rd?
Charlie Edwards, Casemiro, Stuart Hall.
Oh, yeah. I meant the 2 on the undercard. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry.
They were. I mean, every fight it bore you to tears. I'll tell you. I brought one of my mates round who's a non-boxing fan, and we sat down at 6 o'clock. We started with Conor Benn, and he was well into it. After Conor Benn, and like literally by about 9 o'clock, like we almost started playing a game of Monopoly. It was that bad. I mean, I have some sympathy because I feel with an undercard, you never know how it's going to develop. No matter what the fights look like on paper, it can turn into a great night, it can turn into a crap night. But this was one of the very, very worst undercards. Well, it's probably the worst undercard I've ever seen on a pay-per-view event. I'm not going to necessarily go around the whole panel on that, but does anyone want to chime in on that?
I'd like to say that I don't know if it was that bad, but I thought the Edwards fight was reasonably good. I thought he was completely outclassed. Casemiro's a right banger. He wasn't fazed at all by the crowd. But I thought, listening to the Haskins versus Hall fight, I got to take issue with the commentators. Like, I had Haskins win it first 6 rounds, right? And then they were saying Carl Froch started talking, like he just talks. Carl Froch is a company man. He just talks the fucking book, even when the fight is happening. Hall, it's like when Hall he was saying like, even though Hall's not landing, he's coming forward, like, and they were giving them rounds. I don't know if I'm fucking stupid or something, but I thought that Haskins clearly won that fight, 8-4, 9-3. I don't know if I'm on a different planet to everybody else. He was clearly slipping. And so many people on the internet are saying, oh, Hall, it was nearly Hall. I just don't, what type of fucking drugs are these people on? Like, I tell you what happened to me. I was looking at Betfair, because I was watching a shit stream, and I was looking at Betfair, and it was like round 9 or 10, and I checked the odds, and it was like, Haskins was 3-1 on Betfair, right? And I was like going, holy shit, has he got knocked down or something, and my stream is by 5 minutes fucking behind. So I was afraid to bet on it. So it's like, I don't understand. Carl Froch, it's like he was channeling like his fight against Andre Durrell It was like he was seeing himself as Hall and Andre Durrell as fucking Haskins. I don't know. Like, and then Paulie Malignaggi, who's normally a good commentator, he just fucking went along with whatever the fucking boys were saying as well. Like, I think Paulie Malignaggi gave the first round a 10-10 against Brook. Like, what type of fucking planet are these people on? It's like, I don't know, like watching Ireland playing in Ireland, like in a World Cup match, you get less biased fucking commentary. That's fucking serious. Ireland against Italy in the World Cup quarter-final against Italy. It's less biased than the fucking shit.
You're actually spot on. That's the joke, man. It's a joke. You're right. I mean, even the fans for Charlie Edwards, he's a young kid and that sort of stuff. They should be supporting him. The crowd was flat. I mean, it kind of summed up the whole night. Callum Smith.
Let's talk about Callum Smith.
No, Paul Smith, the pregnant Paul Smith. Let me get your take on that gossip. Pregnant Paul Smith.
How fat is he, lad?
My take on that. Like, what is the point? Like, Kell Brook's on the mind. Paul Smith, he's a guy in his mid-30s. He's had 40-odd professional fights. He's fought at a high level multiple times. You know, we know the guy's limit. He's lost to the Gale. He's lost to Groves. He's lost to Ward. He's lost to Abraham. You know, we know the sort of level the guy operates at. He should be in gritty domestic title fights, European level fights, you know, maybe trying to push for world level fights. What we don't want to see is a fighter as uninspiring as Paul Smith waddling out to the ring to fight a 6-rounder against a journeyman. I mean, the interest is, I wouldn't mind seeing like an elite fighter in a comeback fight coming out and destroying someone. But, you know, when you see someone like Paul Smith or Martin Murray or someone of that nature in one of these fights, it just makes you want to gouge your eyes out.
Seriously, if Paul Smith was in a car crash and he was fucking put in a wheelchair, they'd still have him on those fucking cards. And they'd wheel him out and they get some fucking dwarf to fight him.
I'll tell you the other thing I've got to say on a more serious note. Paul Smith weighed in at 12 stone 6. To me, he looked about 14 stone in there. I don't know why this guy has ever fought at super middleweight. You know, if this guy had fought at middleweight, he may have had some semblance of a better career. You know, what is he doing? I mean, he was literally 6 pounds above fighting weight with rolls of fat on his stomach. I don't know why he's not trying to make middleweight. But anyway.
Well, he likes his pies and his donuts a bit too much.
Yeah. Callum Smith, I thought Callum Smith looks to be going nowhere. I think Callum Smith is like all this talk about a year or two ago when he knocked out a domestic level one guy or two. Like Callum Smith looked really poor against a bad fighter. How many rounds did he bring him? 6 rounds.
Like he's regressing, doesn't it?
God, it was so boring as well. It was a really, really, really dull fight, and they had it on late. Why would you put that on late? You could put they should have had the Martin J. Ward fight on. You know.
It's because he's a name, isn't it? It's because he's at least, you know, Callum Smith is like, he's been one of these touted prospects. He's someone, you know, the casual fans are aware of, and I guess he's got a bit more star power than a Stuart Hall.
But he was on after the Charlie Edwards world title fight, wasn't he?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that for me, I got to say, yeah, I know we've had a debate as to the big guys versus the little guys before, but you know, little guys for me are just less interesting than big guys to watch. And some of the styles on display were, it was painful. Some of the fights, they really were. But let's move on because there's so much to discuss, and let's start with some of the other world title fights this weekend. So I guess the two of note that are worth properly looking into are Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez won, and also Robert Easter Jr. won. Paul, do you want to kick us off on your man Easter?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, mate.
I keep failing to figure out when it's muted and not. He looked all right. Good, you know, it's a good win. I don't know. I think he he didn't look as good as he has done for me. I think. I mean, it's always the case, isn't it? Like fighters coming up and they look great, and then they get to a certain level, and I don't know if he maybe got found out just a little bit. He won the fight, but I don't know. For me, he didn't look great. He didn't look as good as the earlier promise had shown. And I don't think. I mean, Comey was a banger, obviously, but he was very sloppy kind of fighter. Smothers his own work a lot, and I think it was a level that if Issa was as elite as his early promise had suggested he might be, he should have been really dispatching him in a much better way. So it was okay. It was okay.
Okay, fair enough. Did you see the Gonzalez fight, Paul?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was close, but I think I agreed with the decision. I think the better work came from Gonzalez. He was just classier overall. For me, he the sort of blend between defense and offense. It was much more evident with him than it was Cuadras. It's a pretty good fight, though. I enjoyed the fight.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Jet, let's bring yourself in. What's your take on the other fights, mate?
Yeah, Easter, I thought he was good. I probably agree with Paul. I thought he was good in the early part of his career, but certainly didn't look as good as maybe like his predecessor, Bartholomew, who held the IBF title before. I think he's beatable. The sort of guys that are coming up at lightweight now, or the guys in and around the world scene, probably look at him and go, yeah, he's a beatable sort of fighter. He's decent, but not as special. Comey can come again. He's got one hell of a chin. He took some hellacious shots in there, and he stood up to them. So, credit to Richard Comey. He'll come again as well. He can punch. I know he smothers his own work sometimes, and he is a bit sloppy and reckless, but he can come again. He's got a puncher's chance in any fight. The Gonzalez fight, I mean, the commentary was so biased. It was a joke. I think Gonzalez is probably the new sort of a HBO darling, so to speak, after Golovkin now. So, and then since he's being pushed as number one pound for pound, they're trying to shove him down everyone's throats. I thought he won the fight, 115, 113. Could make a case for, slightly. You can make a case for quite slightly tighter, maybe even a Cuadras win. But for me, it was clear enough that Chocolatito was landing the more eye-catching shots. All of the shots were with bad intentions, or they were accurate and that sort of stuff. And I just thought Chocolatito won the fight for me. It was a good fight though for what it was worth. Very decent fight, and I wouldn't mind seeing again. They're talking about a rematch. I wouldn't mind seeing that again. Talking about Naoya Inoue, I wouldn't mind seeing that. John Rel Casemiro actually called him out as well after his win against Charlie Edwards, so wouldn't mind seeing that as well. I think Casemiro gets iced by him, but some decent fights out there for Chocolatito. So I'm looking forward to continue watching him. He's a fantastic fighter to watch.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Sorry, did you have anything to add on the fights, Chocolatito, or the Golovkin undercard fights, or Robert Easter?
Sorry, didn't Jacobs fight as well? Sorry to cut you off, Sherry.
Yeah, Jacobs Mora. To be honest, that was even more predictable than Brook Golovkin.
Yeah, I thought that might have slipped my mind, but yeah, Troyanovsky also fought, I think, on the Thursday. So if anyone wants to discuss that after, sorry.
Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I was actually out on Saturday with family in Bradford, so that's like 3 hours away from where I live. What ended up happening is we left there about 8 o'clock, and the estimated time for arrival was 10:30. So I was shitting myself thinking I'm going to miss the fight. So I missed the whole undercard. I did 90 to 100 miles an hour the whole way down. I didn't give a shit about no police, nothing. Got home in, I think, about just over 2 hours, and just about got back for Golovkin Brook, changed my clothes and sat down. So I missed the whole undercard.
That was the way to do it, Sherry. You had you had a spot a lot, mate.
the blood was pumping. Got back just in time. We survived. I didn't kill anyone, so it was a good day. And then obviously watched the fight, and then I'm not going to lie to you, I was so tired because we left at 7:30 in the morning. Because I went on TV in the morning to do my Golovkin Brook prediction, so I was there. And then after that, I'm not even going to lie to you, I fell asleep. I didn't wake up. I missed every single fight apart from Golovkin Brook. So don't even bother asking me. It's not worth it, is it?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Tom, do you have anything to add on those, or shall we move on to the next topic with you?
No, I just have a bit to say, of course. Yeah. Me? Of course I've got something to say.
Yeah, I thought you might do, but you never know.
Just give me 15 minutes here now. So the Easter Commie fight is like, there's a proper fucking fight. The two these fights, they're proper fucking matchups. Guys in their divisions, good matchups. I thought Easter won. I had him winning by a point. I actually exactly the same scorecard as the Showtime guy. And I think Easter shows good things. He reminds me a bit of Paul Williams in that he gives away his height very easily. Like when he kept him on his jab, there was times when he kept him on his jab and he looked very dominant. And then I know it's easy to say you should just keep a guy on his jab, maybe the pressure is coming, but he looked like he would just fall into having a scrap.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like it didn't seem to me like the pressure was on. He just kind of fell into it. I don't think he's really that much of a thinking fighter, but he's got very good attributes and he's got good power and a good engine. He showed great heart. The 12th round was a fucking round of the year nearly, I think. Absolute great round. Two guys showed great heart. Commie showed they both showed great chins. They both got caught numerous times with big punches. Jesus, Commie, when I don't know how he stayed up on his feet in the 12th. He was like a dancing Cossack. Like I don't have any idea. Like when you see it in the replay, it looks kind of like something from the Matrix. It looks actually impossible for him to regain his balance. Yeah, he did it. So I think Commie is probably quite a good fighter, and I think we'll see a lot more of him. I think either of them two guys. I think this lightweight division's got a lot of good fighters. I think they're all of a similar-ish level, apart from Mikey Garcia. I think he's the standout fighter. So I really enjoyed that fight. Thought it was excellent. Tell you, PBC are on a good run. They've had a lot of very good fucking matchups. Long may it continue on free TV. Then the other one, Gonzalez against Cuadras. I don't know, lads. We were talking before last week, and I was thinking that he mightn't be able to do it at this weight. But I actually had Cuadras winning that fight. I think the commentary was very biased. I thought he did a lot of good boxing. Gonzalez put it on him, but like I thought Gonzalez looked like he had been in a war, while your man didn't. I thought that he boxed him quite well. He showed good speed and movement, caught him with some good hard shots. I probably thought he nicked it by a round, to be honest with you. I don't see how you can give it. One of the judges gave it 9-3. I think that's extremely harsh. Now I know Gonzalez outlanded him on the stats, but that doesn't always show. I think Gonzalez's power didn't carry. I think it's the wrong weight class for him. He looks a bit fleshy. I think if he fights another top fighter, like I don't know, your man Max Kellerman was pronouncing Inui or something. I don't know how he was pronouncing it. Maybe that's the correct pronunciation. But I think I haven't seen much of Inui. But if he fights him, I think that I would
lose to him. I think
he would lose because I think it's the wrong weight class for him. I think it's too high.
Yeah,
I think that style, like Golovkin style, is effective in your optimal weight class. That when you go up weight classes, if you want to jump and keep moving up, you need to have that slick Black American style. I think that's the style where you can survive against guys, not get hit and hit. He's more of a pressure fighter that has got good defense and good foot movement, but he will get hit against the bigger guys. So I think that he should stay away from anyway if he wants to maintain that record. If I was him, I'd retire. But I know he's getting the big money now, more than he did before. But he took a proper fucking beating. His face was swollen. He looked like a Hispanic Muhammad Ali by the end of that fight.
I don't think the fact that his face was more marked up I mean, I had the fight close. I agree that 9-3 was just ridiculous. I had the fight close. I don't think the fact that his face was marked up is an indicator that he lost the fight. Some people bruise much easier than others, for one.
But Paul, have you seen him bruise like that before? I've never seen him like that before.
He was slightly in the Estrada fight, not as bad, but slightly, and that was a bit of a war. I mean, it was a war. Let's have it right. It was a war.
Yeah, but did you see your man's face? It wasn't bust up. He had one cut from a clash of heads, but his face didn't look. And I thought in the last couple of rounds that Gonzalez was gassed. Like he was running on steam.
Oh, I don't know. I thought even in the last round he was putting some good work in. Actually, I think I kind of disagree with that.
Surely you're not referring to the pound for pound the greatest fighter of all time, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez here, Tom.
Well, I don't know.
Make Sugar Ray Robinson look average.
I'm telling you, that stuff about chocolate tits being #1 pound for pound, I don't agree with that. I think seeing him now, I think that he's not in the same class as, personally, I think, in Golovkin, not at that weight, maybe down lower. I think go back 2 or 3 or 4 years. I think if you put him, I think he's past his best and he's in the wrong weight class. So I think, a couple of years ago he was a better fighter. Now I probably don't have him in my top 5. I mightn't even have him in my top 10.
Very interesting. Jet is crying.
Good.
Tom said he didn't have Gonzalez in his top 10 pound for pound anymore.
Well, to be fair, I also said Kovalev was #1, and then
I think that just at this moment, you know what I mean. When we're talking about
of the last 5,
you boys do pound for pound kind of different. I kind of think of right now, who is the top. I think that in the past he was, but I think the resume stuff, I think he's past his best, and I think he's in the wrong weight class, and I think his style won't suit him now. I think he's going to be picked off by an elite superfly will beat him, and that doesn't mean that guy should get into the pound for pound reckoning. But I think a really good superfly will take him now. Like Zolani Teti, I think at superfly, I think I'd take him.
Yeah, I'm glad you've come around to Zolani Teti, Tom. Obviously, you've been rewatching some of the tapes after my recommendation there, mate.
Yeah, I've been watching that. What's the English guy he bet?
Butler.
Yeah, I've been watching that repeat for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, and I have the audio going when I'm asleep. So yeah, I've come around.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, just quickly before we move on, because I want to, before we even get to talking about the boxing this week, I want to cover some of the Tyson Fury news and also some of the BoxNation views. So just quickly, before we move on, does anyone want to cover anything further about any of the fights that have happened last week? Because I want to move past that. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Good. Right, let's start with Fury versus Vladimir Klitschko. Fury didn't turn up to the press conference. Is that significant? Personally, I don't know. Don't have any reason to suspect that Peter Fury and Frank Warren were lying about his car problems, but who knows? It's obviously not ideal. For me, more intriguingly, the fight will be shown on BoxNation pay-per-view. Is this a game changer for BoxNation? Is this going to bring in huge revenues to their business that they haven't previously been able to enjoy? Tom, you're never short of an opinion on this sort of thing. Tell me, where do you stand on those two issues?
I think that it will bring in good revenue for BoxNation, undoubtedly. But the only thing is, Sky basically, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, whatever, they get free advertising, wall-to-wall coverage on Sky Sports News. You know, so
Yeah.
they're basically getting an hour's free advertisement every day when it's coming up to one of these big fights, minimum. You know, so it's like that. You can't buy that media exposure. You know, that to buy that and to get that exposure, like, and to buy advertisements every advert break on Sky will cost them millions of pounds. So whether they'll be able to compete with Sky on pay-per-view, I don't think so. I think their numbers will be good, but they won't be anywhere near as good. You know, they might get a couple of 300,000 for Fury Klitschko, but I think on Sky you'll get 600,000 or something like that. Fury not turning up. I don't know if anybody was looking at his Twitter account. I don't really do too much Twittering, but I was looking on it, and he was, you know, talking about lessons for boxers, and one was like how promoters don't give a shit about you and they don't call you after you're finished fighting and stuff like this. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Fury's got a bit dicked over in the renegotiation with Vlad, and Fury's like, fuck this, I'm not going to promote this fight. You know, he's getting a bigger cut, or there's something happening like that. Because, you know, he hasn't been active on Twitter. I wouldn't be surprised. Huey and Con Sheehan were sparring today in Preston with Peter Fury, and there was no sign of Tyson. So who knows? There might have been some kind of an injury, maybe an eye cut in sparring, and he didn't want to show it, or maybe he's on the low down. You know, he's trying to keep a low profile. But I don't believe the fucking breakdown thing for a fucking second. Because if he was going with somebody else, apparently he said he was driving with his mate. Well, his mate would have a fucking phone. It's unlikely they both fucking run out. It sounds like total horseshit.
Interesting, yeah. I do think that the Red Button box office does have the potential to be a game changer, because it's just so painful signing up for BoxNation. You know, I think if you're the kind of casual boxing fan who maybe goes for a few pints on a Saturday and then comes back in time for the fight, are you really going to be motivated to go and do that? You know, I think the instantness, you know, of the Red Button is going to be a big change for them. Paul, what's your take on that, mate?
Yeah, I agree. I think the convenience of just being able to press a button, I think will make a difference. But I also don't think they'll compete with Sky, because the point Tom made about the fact that Sky News just, I mean it's not even you know, once an hour. I mean, when these big fights are coming up, it's all the time. Like, if you watch Sky Sports, it's like all the time. Sky Sports News, it's on like constantly, and I just think that is going to make it very difficult. And also, I don't think Frank Warren's promotional ability is as good as Eddie Hearn's either. I don't. The way he puts things on, that things always look a little bit brighter, a little bit kind of like better quality with a Matchroom show. I just think Frank Warren's a bit of a poor promoter, to be honest. I know he's been in the game a long time, and I don't kind of want to disrespect anybody, but I think he's maybe sort of like a bit maybe time to retire soon, Frank.
Strong words. Jet, let's bring you in, mate.
Yeah. What were we even talking about? I got caught up with the.
We're talking about the Tyson Fury Vlad fight, mate. Firstly, Fury not turning up to the press conference. Secondly, the fight being available by pay-per-view. How significant do you think both of those updates are?
Yeah, I was more focused on the Frank Warren versus sort of Eddie Hearn, a Paul rant. So yeah.
I apologise. I think I went off a bit of a.
Kudo, shout out. Frank Warren needs to get his fish eyes over to. You know, I don't know. He just needs to call it a day, I think, as well, or he needs to give it over to his son. Tyson Fury not turning up, I think.
Jet, they should get Golovkin into it, Frank, and let him break a few orbital bones and reshape him a bit better.
I don't know what Frank's. He's a weird guy, man. Just He needs to retire, man. I think, honestly, just seen better days. He's seen better days. Anyway,
I'm not sure I agree with all of this chat, to be honest. We've got Fury Klitschko about to be on. That's the biggest fight in October. We're probably going to have Billy Joe Saunders Golovkin announced. We've got Liam Smith fighting Canelo Alvarez, arguably the most known fighter on the planet in a world title fight this weekend. And I think he's got some of the best prospects in the sport. I mean, 2 or 3 years time, how many of his current stable could be world champions? I think
he's got good fighters. Like,
Yeah.
I can put it this way: he's got good fighters, but he doesn't know how to promote them. It's as simple as that, and he doesn't have a platform to sell them, and that's the problem. Billy Joe Saunders, he might get Canelo, but he's being Canelo, or he might get Golovkin. He's forced into making Billy Joe Saunders fight them. He's forcing his hand. He's forced Liam Smith into this fight because Liam Smith won a vacant title against a nobody, and he defended against an absolute terrible guy that I could probably beat in Radosevich. Didn't get any numbers and had to go over to the States to fight Canelo, and he's probably going to get slaughtered by Canelo.
But Jet, what are you talking about? Everybody wants to fight Canelo because you get loads of fucking money.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's doing with his fights. Billy Joe Saunders hasn't fought for a year. Like,
yeah, but things happen. You know, things happen. But like, you know, I hate to have these things about discussion about which promoter is better than the other one. But like,
it's just I just think he needs to call it a day, or he really needs to give his guys a bit more. You know,
when you don't have the Sky platform, you're not getting.
I've said that.
Yeah, I know, but you're not getting a huge amount of like a free advertising. You know, like Frank used to be the biggest one when he was on Sky, and now he's not on Sky, and he's not. So like, I think Eddie Hearn is a very good promoter, and I think he understands social media better than Frank or these boys does. But there's not that much difference between them. You know, like a lot of that is to do with Eddie having a de facto monopoly in English boxing market.
But what's with bloody Eubank being on a Liam Williams undercard? I don't understand that whatsoever. If you can explain me that, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, and I mean this as well. Frank's had has put on shows like in the last sort of year, 2 years that should have done so much better than they did. Like,
sorry to jump.
The denominator tends to be Frank. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That I think the Eubank thing is the wrong example because let's remember Eubank is not a Frank Warren fighter. If anything, Frank Warren's trying to make a point by sticking him on the undercard. He's actually announced today that he's going to put Chris Eubank's other son, Nathaniel Wilson, on the card as well. So that's serious as well. So he's I don't know if you guys have seen, he's come out with 2 or 3 rants about the Eubanks this week. I think he called him a prick on IFL TV the other day. You know, so for me, that's not poor promotion. That's him saying, Eubank's not my fighter. Eubank's messed me around in the past. I'm going to mess him around.
But didn't you mention gossip that he was that it should be a standalone show? Eubank versus Langford. It should be.
Would you trust? Would you, from a Eubank perspective, certainly. You know, if I was the Eubanks, I would be devastated. But maybe from Frank Warren's perspective, it builds hype to Liam Williams, which is his actual product.
Yeah, another thing is, like, would you trust fucking Chris Eubank to not fuck off and say he got a fight with somebody else and just fucking ditch the fight? You know. But Frank has been burned. Like, apparently they had like a big stadium fight last year or this year lined up, and then Eubank fucked off and didn't do it, and they missed their big event for the year. So it's like, if you're Frank Warren, you're going to go like, why the fuck would I invest in Chris Eubank? The same way that Eddie Hearn is thinking, why the fuck would I invest in them? Because they just keep fucking stabbing you in the back or dicking you around. So like, you see what happens with Chris Eubank if he goes back to Sky, unless he actually signs the Golovkin fight. Like, they're not going to be fucking pushing him. Eddie Hearn's not going to be fucking pushing him. Why would they be bothered? They got a big stable with loads of other good fighters, and they'll just fucking put somebody else up the top and feed them to the fucking masses.
But he's promoting Langford, isn't he? So wouldn't Langford be his priority? Get him out.
Williams is a much better fighter than Langford is ever going to be.
So I was an advocate, just so to speak, since he said that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's my perspective, or maybe that's me being harsh, but I don't know. I've always thought that. I just think he's out of touch. That's just my kind of take on it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I've kind of lost track. Who was of who I'd gone to and in what order?
It was still me. I think me and Irish Tom got caught up in a.
Yeah. Sorry, did I ask you about Fury, mate?
No, you haven't got to me yet. No.
Oh, off you go, mate.
Look, like I said, I was getting to the point last time when the fight got cancelled again. The way I'm starting to lose interest. But obviously, look, this is still a massive fight. No matter how many times it's been stop and start. But look, Tyson Fury not turning up. I've got obviously my own questions in my head and doubts, but it doesn't look good for him. Like I don't think it's a mind game. I think there's something with him where he's not. I don't know if he's got the motivation for it, which is what. That's a big question that's looming on all the podcasts and this and that. Where does he have the motivation where he can get himself in that condition and to go and do the business again? I think he's got it within him to do it, and he's got the skill set to do it. But I don't know physically if he's going to be prepared. What is it? 6 weeks away? 6-7 weeks?
Yeah.
If that 5 almost, or maybe I don't know. I can't really count right now. I'm half asleep, but but obviously, look, that's a massive fight in terms of the heavyweight division, and it will say a lot depending on who wins that fight on where we're going. In the next few months in terms of heavyweights. Hopefully, Tyson Fury can do the business again and carry on. The momentum, but obviously it has stalled because it's almost a year by the time they get back in the ring again. But moving on from that, I think when everyone went on a bit of a tangent with the whole promotional thing, Frank Warren, obviously, look, the BoxNation box office cannot compete with Sky. It's not. I don't think it's feasible at all. I think it's a good move, and it's good that they're going that direction, and it will take time to kick off. But I don't think it's one of those things where, again, they don't have the power that Sky Sports have, so it's not going to have that sort of mass appeal where you've got Anthony Joshua on a poster or a Kell Brook on the poster. If you've got Billy Joe Saunders or people like that, yes, Vladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury. Maybe that'll be a success, but I can't see it because I don't think anyone cares about this fight anymore. In the wider public, I think us guys, we can get hyped for it because we appreciate what it means. But I don't think the wider public, and especially after the first fight, the way it went, I don't think people are going to tune in or bother to pay for it. They'll just stream it somehow. But Frank Warren, look, yes, he's old school, and he's got his own methods and stuff like that. But I would say that Eddie Hearn, obviously, through Sky and the vast roster and just his connections with Al Heyman and etc. He's got the obviously one up to him in promotional in the way he promotes, and I think just his overall personality, the way Eddie Hearn is, you either love him or you hate him. He can rub you up the wrong way with his his smug attitude, but he's a funny guy. But he's exactly what I think British boxing needs in terms of what he's done in the last few years. You know what I mean? He's delivered big nights, hasn't he? Regardless of whether they're mismatches or the best fights, he has delivered attention to boxing. So I think Eddie Hearn is probably the best promoter in the UK, head and shoulders above it, Frank and Mick Hennessy.
Fair enough. Okay, let's. I wanted to cover the Fury thing because it's something that a lot of people are interested in. I guess I hope that Fury does re-emerge very, very soon in the next day or two and lets us know that he is in a good state physically. But let's move on to the fights next week. And Paul, let's go for yourself, mate. Maybe on Canelo versus Liam Smith first and foremost. Is that one that's getting your pulse racing, mate?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's got the potential to be a good fight stylistically, but I say a good fight maybe while it lasts because I think possibly Liam Smith's style might be kind of like a bit tailor made for Canelo. He likes people to come at him. And he counter punches them, and I'm not sure. You see, because the thing is, I see Canelo as a bit of a weight bully. I don't think I think he's too big for that weight. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the fight. Do you know what I mean? And there's some good fights on the undercard as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it's going to last too long. I don't see Liam Smith going the distance with him, to be honest.
what's your prediction if you had to sort of look at a set of rounds, mate?
Maybe eighth.
Do you know what I was thinking? Eighth, actually. Yeah. He gives the impression of being a bit durable, Liam Smith, doesn't he? And Canelo, like, he hits hard, but he maybe isn't always a massive single punch knockout artist. But yeah, it is hard. As much as I keep trying to think of a way for Liam to win, but it is hard. Jet, what's your prediction for the fight, mate?
Yeah, it's an okay fight stylistically, but Liam Smith's out of his depth against Canelo. You know, from fighting John Thompson, Predrag Radosevich, Jimmy Kelly, to fighting a pound for pound sort of level guy in Canelo, is bad. He's going to make a lot of money, so you know, best of luck to him. Well done to him, but yeah, fundamentally, he's not good enough to match against Canelo. And I think, yeah, probably what you guys said, you and Paul said, is right. Around 8. I was going to say around 7. So yeah, between 7 and 8, I'd say Liam Smith's going to get stopped. But yeah, I hope he does well, flying the British flag. Sorry. So yeah, best of luck to him.
No homophobia on this podcast, please.
From yourself?
You said not flying the flag.
No, a flag.
Oh.
Do you think we should ban him for that, Tom?
I think so. Can we give him a 10-minute? Can we give him a 10-minute timeout?
Hard.
Put him on the North step.
Well, Tom, seeing as you've jumped in there, what's your take on this one, mate?
I think that it's going to be it might be exciting for a few rounds, but Canelo is just different. Like Smith is just tailor-made for Canelo's style. He's a come-forward guy who's quite basic. He doesn't actually throw that much. Like when he was getting outboxed by John Thompson, imagine what Canelo's going to do to him. Canelo's going to slip, and because Canelo's actually learned a lot. Canelo's improved a lot in the last few years. He's got some of those. I hate to say it, but he's learned some stuff from Mayweather. Like, I don't hate to say it, I mean, like, people might laugh at me for saying it, but he does do some quite good defensive maneuvers now. A power puncher in that division. I think Liam's chance is if Canelo is totally drained at that weight and he attacks his body. That's his chance. So I think, I think the bookies have it 10-1. I think that's probably maybe even slightly generous, but it's probably close enough. Somebody mentioned in the thing as well about Cuadras had really bad back acne, and apparently, even though that was for a WBC title, I think they didn't do any VADA testing on it. So that's the PED police thing for this week.
I did see. I have heard some rumours about that actually. Not the first person who's mentioned that. Yeah. Sorry, did I come? I didn't come to you on Canelo Smith, did I?
No, mate. No, you haven't. No.
Yeah, give us your prediction for that fight, and then perhaps take us into Usyk Glowacki afterwards.
I think with that fight, obviously stylistically, it'll be a bit more of a they'll be in each other's faces a bit more. Canelo obviously is a better counterpuncher, which we know. Liam Smith, this is going to obviously answer some questions, because he hasn't really faced anyone of note. Is he good enough? Can he hang with the top level guys at 154 pounds? I do think Canelo is a big favourite. I think Liam Smith is he'll be in the fight, but I don't think he's going to win any rounds massively. Canelo's just overall better in every department, I think. And Liam Smith's there to be hit. So if Canelo, you can let go of his hands and hurt Liam Smith, I think, at any point, because he is a pretty strong puncher, and obviously Canelo's going to blow up pretty big on the night, so he'll be bigger than Liam Smith as well in that regard. So I think Canelo will probably stop him within 9 to 10 rounds, or potentially points, but I think stoppage would be a pretty sensible one as well. And then with the Usyk Glowacki, it hasn't received a lot of publicity, I think, but it's on Sky Sports, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think Jet mentioned that to me. Is it on Sky Sports, Jet?
Yeah, Sky Sports. The coverage starts from about 9:30, mate.
Fair enough. Yeah, so that should be a really, really good fight. Glowacki, as I saw, was it last year against Marco Hook? Obviously, he emerged as a kind of out of nowhere kind of thing. Well, for me anyway, I didn't know much about him before that fight. That was a great fight, and since then he's looked really good in his performances afterwards. So, and Usyk obviously has a lot of questions he needs to answer in terms of he's had a good amateur career, and obviously we can see what he's got right there. But can he translate that against a proven champion now in Glowacki? I think Usyk has probably more skill, but I think Glowacki's experience and overall grit might carry him through. So I'd pick Glowacki in that one, but I don't know what method.
I was looking at BoxRec for Usyk, and I think the highest guy that he's fought was like 57th on BoxRec, and the last guy he fought was like 220th on BoxRec. So he's fought a very low level. So it's very unsure how this fight will go.
Yeah, that's right. And I think Glowacki probably is the number one in the division for me, based on form in the book. Because the win over Marco Huck, I know that was a close fight, but yeah, that was I mean, Huck was definitely the number one before that, as far as I'm concerned. So for me, it's a really, really great fight. And dependent on how the fight goes, I think there's an argument that the person who wins this fight can creep into the top 10 of the pound for pound list. Because I think they'll definitely be the number one fighter in their division. You know, I really do. I think it's a high class fight. It's a purist fight. You know, it's not one that's gonna get the casuals excited. But I am very much excited for this one, definitely.
It should be a good clash of styles, though, as well, boys. It should be a good fight. That's the thing. It's not like it's going to be one of these boring, like, boxing matches. It's going to be these cruiserweights. They fuck each other up. They go for it.
Absolutely. Who is anyone picking Glowacki?
Picking him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I pick Glowacki.
Yeah, I don't know who to pick. I don't have an opinion.
You know, yeah, it's what. Sorry, did you say you're picking Glowacki? Sorry.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, he did.
The odds are 1-2 on Usyk. I think you get 15-8 on Glowacki, which seems pretty. Like, you know, that says that basically Glowacki is a 1-in-3 chance, and Usyk's got 2/3 chance of winning, which seems, you know, like people must really rate Usyk if he's away from home against probably the number one, and he's never fought anybody professionally, and they're giving him like to be favourite. You know, you're away from home if he doesn't get a knockout. So it's Glowacki's a tough motherfucker as well. He can take punishment.
Yeah, he is, and I suspect Usyk. I don't know what his knockout ratio is, but I suspect Usyk is maybe doesn't carry as much power as his early career has indicated. I don't suspect that Usyk's going to go in there and blow a guy like Glowacki away.
No, he's got 100% KO ratio, but as Irish Tom mentioned, the opponents have been pretty woeful. So yeah, I mean, you probably have to look to WSB for his fights. He fought Joe Joyce, kind of schooled him. You know, he obviously in the amateurs 2012 he won Olympic gold, so he's there or thereabouts. And I think people are looking at that talent from WSB in amateur days, and probably, you know, the bookies are kind of pricing him, giving him 66% because of that. But I'm picking Usyk to win by a unanimous decision. But it's going to be a very competitive fight. It's going to be a good fight. I think Usyk will win probably like 7-5, 8-4, something like that. But Glowacki will have his moments. It will be a very, very good fight, I think.
Good stuff. Who haven't I come to for a prediction yet? Sorry, I've been getting all sorts of messages as we've been on. So.
I haven't predicted on the Usyk Glowacki fight.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Yeah, I'm picking Usyk. I've been picking. I've thought Usyk was going to win since I heard the fight was announced. I really rate Usyk. He's similar to Lomachenko for me in that, like, you know, he hadn't fought many people, but you just know what you're looking at when you watch him fight. He's got pretty much everything. Although I do agree that he maybe hasn't got sort of like incredible knockout power or anything, but he is he's so sound fundamentally. I know Anatoly Lomachenko's his trainer, Vasily's dad, and it's very similar stylistically. It's that same sort of style that he uses, and he really did school Joe Joyce. I mean, I know it was the amateurs and stuff, but he can also take a punch as well, because I mean, Joyce was quite a bit bigger than him when they fought, and Joyce did catch him with quite a lot of really good shots, and he didn't seem to even be phased by him at all. So I do rate Glowacki as well, but yeah, I'm picking Usyk by decision.
Fair enough, mate. Yeah, I think that's what I'll go as well. I think fundamentally, Usyk's going to have a skill advantage there. I think he's going to be able to outbox Glowacki. I think Glowacki's hittable. I think Usyk's going to be a bit smarter, a bit sharper. As you say, even though he's early on in his career, we know about the amateur background. We know about the speed and that sort of thing. So I just think he's going to edge it. But it's a really, really, really good fight. A lot of people are saying that Usyk's then going to move up to heavyweight and dominate. I personally do see him as a cruiserweight. I'm not sure he's going to step up to heavyweight in the pros, even though he's beaten Joe Joyce. I don't think he's going to step up to heavyweight in the pros and just absolutely dominate.
No, I don't think he's got the size to do that. I don't think he's got the height, especially in this current climate of the monster heavyweights. This is kind of era of the monsters in the heavyweight division, isn't it? And I don't think he's got the size for that. So I kind of would agree there. But I think he can. He's definitely got enough talent to kind of like really dominate that that cruiserweight division, and it is a stacked division. There's a lot of really, really good cruiserweights. But I'm looking forward to that fight more than I am Canelo Liam Smith, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I actually think it's probably a more competitive fight, isn't it? I guess Canelo is just the name for the casuals, and Liam Smith's got that big domestic interest. Yeah, but it's I don't know how big a break there'll be between the two, but potentially it's a good night of boxing if you can go from Sky to BoxNation later on in the night. I don't know if there's. What time is Liam Smith going to start?
From 1 a.m. onwards. That's what the coverage said. So probably be on around 3-ish because Rosado Monroe will be on. I'm sure they'll be showing that, and maybe a few other fights on the undercard as well. So depending on if they have the rights, it all depends if they will have if they only have the rights to the Canelo Smith fight, then they will only show that. But I'm sure BoxNation with their vast international coverage will show the most of the card.
Yeah. Talk us through the undercard, Jet. I know there's at least one big fight on there, isn't there? Yeah,
Rosado Monroe's on the card.
Yeah.
Rosado and Moreau were two opponents mentioned for the Billy Joe Saunders fight that was supposed to happen on the undercard. But that's a decent fight. I'm picking Monroe in that fight actually, but that's a decent scrap. I think I have to look if there's something else. Bear with me for 2 seconds. I don't know what anyone else thinks on that fight. If anyone has any.
Two Golovkin victims as well. Rosado's got he's very, very durable. He's got loads of heart and stuff. He took a hell of a beating in that Golovkin fight, and he didn't want it to be stopped. And his eye was gushing of blood. But I do think Monroe is probably the favourite there. I think I'd pick Monroe to beat him. He's just a bit slicker.
Yeah. Jojo Diaz is on the card against.
Who's he fighting?
Andrew Cancillo, who's some random guy, and Diego Delahoy is also on the card as well. So that rounds up the undercard. Joe Diaz is good though. Joe
Yeah,
Diaz.
very good.
He's
Very good.
number 2, I think, WBC featherweight. I think Josh Warrington's number 1. If Warrington fights him, oh goodness, Warrington gets absolutely massacred by Diaz, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Jojo Diaz is a really, really promising young fighter. I think he's probably the best in that division, in all honesty, at this point.
Diaz?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a stretch. You know what? I'd probably say Oscar Valdez. I don't know. That's me. Frampton's at the weight. Santa Cruz, Selby, Russell, I think, is moving up. But
oh God, yeah, Frampton. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, no, actually.
I think Frampton. I'll probably rate Valdez the best. But in terms of momentum and that sort of stuff, it's probably Frampton. Probably Frampton. Very, very good.
Yeah, Frampton. I'm completely forgetting about Frampton. Yeah.
You're making Irish Tom happy, definitely. You're making Irish Tom happy over there.
Irish, we're flying the flag for you tonight. We're flying the flag for you.
About time.
You know what? It's funny. We've actually, despite having had a huge schedule, we've actually maybe I've been too mindful to keep the pace going. We've actually come to a close, come to the end of the topics. But there was one question I wanted to go back to because it's one I didn't actually ask earlier on. So sorry for jumping around a bit. But we talked about who would beat Golovkin. We talked about percentages. One question that I didn't ask is, realistically, who is Golovkin going to fight next? I know Jet mentioned about Danny Jacobs being ordered, but do we see that fight happening? Do we see them skipping that to do a unification or a big money fight? Is Eubank back in the mix? Tom, who do you think he will actually fight next?
He's not interested in Eubank, so he made that plain when he was interviewed post-fight. He wants, I think, Billy Joe Saunders or Canelo. Canelo won't fight him. Billy Joe Saunders is letting on he will. So I think Saunders is the favourite. Whether that will happen first and he won't fight Danny Jacobs, maybe they'll force the Danny Jacobs one for, late this year, early next year, and then it'll be Billy Joe Saunders. But I think those two fights are likely. Andy Lee apparently has come back in saying he wants to fight as well. So maybe I think there's a good chance that what do you call it? What do you call the guy? Oh shit, the WBA.
Danny Jacobs.
Danny Jacobs. Yeah, I refuse to name the belt. Danny Jacobs. I think that might fall apart, and then maybe you can see somebody like Andy Lee stepping in, and then it'll be Billy Joe Saunders in maybe a stadium fight in early May or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah. So you don't see the Billy Joe Saunders fight happening next, like Billy Joe's saying.
Well, Billy Joe's saying he's going to fight in October.
Yeah.
End of October. So then you assume it's going to be at least 2 months from then. It'll probably be 3 months. So end of October, end of November, end of December, end of January. So that's the earliest we'll see him fight Billy Joe Saunders, unless Billy Joe Saunders dumps this current fight and they get it on, which is possible because he hasn't named it yet. So it could be Billy Joe next, but I think it'll be Billy Joe. If he can get Billy Joe, he'll do that because it's a unification. It gets priority over the other rubbish.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Danny Jacobs, like a man with a shit chin against a guy who can kill a guy with a fucking punch. That's to me that's not even an interesting fight. I don't know if it's okay, but I think it's like
Dimitri Perov iced him, and he was winning most of the rounds for me anyway. And
yeah, I think that Danny Jacobs has like knocked a guy out in one round, but that's like Sherry was saying before, like you don't learn too much from that beyond he landed a really good punch, and what you call it, Quillen was super tight at the weight. She couldn't make the weight for Golovkin, so more than likely Quillen was had poor punch resistance because of weight training. So you don't learn too much from that win, although it was a good win.
Yeah, and as well as that, I think like anybody that can happen to anybody. Knockout, just get knocked out cold. That can happen to anyone. I don't think that's necessarily. Oh wow, we knocked like a guy out in one round. I don't think it's a massive thing. I actually think I think if it was up to the Golovkin side, the Billy Joe Saunders fight would happen next. But I don't know if anybody's seen the recent interviews with Billy Joe Saunders, where he's kind of like saying he'll fight him after, so his next available date after this October. And I'm just thinking, like, if he hasn't even got an opponent named, then why is he making that stipulation? I can never get it out of my head, that press conference with Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank, where he said he'd beat me and you on the same night and blah blah blah. I struggle to get that out of my head. I don't think Saunders wants this fight. I don't.
There's a lot of money in it, Paul, though.
I know, but he was saying it was about money, wasn't he? He was saying if they offer me the right money, blah blah blah. Well, now Golovkin's just got, like Tom said earlier, he's probably at the most popular he's ever going to be, or certainly he's at the most popular he has been.
That was a really good point by me. Yeah.
Look at you in your own horn.
Indeed.
Doing what?
You know.
He's doing what to his horn?
He's tooting his own horn.
Okay, yeah.
The innuendos from Jet tonight have been. I'll tell you what. We need to get an age rating on this podcast. 15, I think.
I think Irish is just looking for any flaw in me. He always does that. It's okay.
They're just so hard to find as well. I'm reaching all the time.
I'm too smart. I'm
too perfect, Jet. You're too perfect.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Terry, let's bring you back in. Let's say Golovkin unifies at 160, mate. A lot of talk about him moving up to 168. Personally, I don't think 168 works for him. What's your take on that? Do you think he's going to have success against the likes of a James DeGale, having seen, the fight with Kell Brook?
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom. I don't think that's probably the best move right now. Obviously, look, he's only getting older, so he's going to have to potentially move by some point. And that's always going to be a question mark hanging over his career. Should he not ever move up? Because if he stays that way, obviously, look, at some point he's going to get the WBO belt, regardless of who he beats to get it. But once he's champ, what does he do from there? It only makes sense for him to just, maybe 1-2 more fights, fight Canelo, whatever, win or lose, move up from there. But at this point, I don't know how if he carries his power up that much. 8 pounds, it might not seem like a lot, but it is. And can he compete with, a James DeGale or, Gilberto Ramirez or, any of the big guys up there? But at the same time, I know sparring, but if he smashed George Groves, who's a bigger guy, he smashed Sergey Kovalev in sparring, then I think he's got a chance up there, at those sort of weights. But I don't know. I think 160 is going to be the best weight. I don't think, because he's not even a big 160, is he? He
no.
Can, I think he's going to be a small super middle, if anything. So I don't know how that works for him. But I don't think really. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't think he's one of those fighters who really puts it on people in terms of his size. He doesn't use his body weight on anyone, does he? He kind of fights at range. So I don't know if that'll play into him moving up to super middleweight. Because he'll be smaller than most of the other guys. But right now, I don't see it for him. I don't think it's a wise move. I think focus on getting Billy Joe Saunders, getting that belt. Obviously, look, the WBA have ordered the mandatory for Jacobs. Let's see if they stick to it. And within 30 days, if there's no obviously progress, then you got the purse bid avenue. But then to fight within the next 120 days from the purse bid or potential purse bid. So hopefully that fight's next, Danny Jacobs, and then February, Frank Warren. February, March, he's saying he wants Billy Joe Saunders and Golovkin. So ideally, in the next 6 months, if we see those 2 fights, then Golovkin is pretty much cleaned up at middleweight. He doesn't need to fight Eubank Jr. because Eubank Jr. is only a British champion. He's improved fuck all, has he really? Pardon my French. But so if those are his next 2 fights, I'll be happy with those.
I guess it depends what he's aiming for, really, because in terms of money, fighting on Sky Sports pay-per-view and stuff like that is certainly going to take him to the very next level, in terms of the money and that sort of thing. But if he's after the belts, yeah, you're right, Eubank isn't even in that discussion given his current position, I guess.
What do you call it? I think that he should go and fight a trilogy with Andy Lee and then do another trilogy with Steve Collins and then retire.
The Andy Lee, you've always liked that Andy Lee Golovkin fight.
I think, right, listen to this, right? He fights Billy Saunders, he fights Chris Eubank, he fights Danny Jacobs, he fights Canelo, wins them all, does 21 defenses, more than, Bernard, and then retires. I'd be happy with a career. He'd go down as an all-time great if he did that.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yes.
Any Agogo news?
Oh, Jet, thank God. I was going to forget that. Yeah, I had a video on my Facebook this week. I put Paul in it, so I don't know if you saw it, Paul. But it was an Anthony Ogogo sponsorship sort of advert for Subway. And Anthony Ogogo was asked the question, as an athlete, as a world-class athlete, what is your favourite meal? What is it that gets you through your training? What is it that sort of has propelled you to the top of the sport? So I was thinking, I don't know that much about sports nutrition, but I was thinking chicken and pasta. I was thinking steak and broccoli and rice.
Subway melt.
Salmon.
Subway melt.
Well, what Agogo said, actually, is the Subway salad. And what he would do is order the salad and then get loads of that, the real high quality, high protein, low fat meat that Subway offer, added to sort of improve his performance. So I guess the question for the panel is Anthony Ogogo full of shit and selling his truth for the Subway fee, or do we genuinely have a middleweight fueled purely by Subway?
What bullshit is this, Tom?
What was that, sorry?
I said, what bullshit is this?
Where have you been the last few weeks?
Sherry, so Sherry, I've heard you're interested in managing Agogo. Any news on that? No?
What, me?
Yeah, well, you seem so interested in him.
No. Like I said, up until last week, it was going over my head. I didn't get the jokes, but Anthony Ogogo all the way. Then I'm gonna have to get in contact with his team.
Could get him on the on the Gossip live show and have Gossip have some sly digs at him or something like that.
He also said he believes he's the biggest middleweight out there.
How tall is he? Do you know what? I'm gonna have a look. I don't know how tall he is. I was watching Tommy Langford on BoxNation.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was just on. It was around 2:00, the main events sort of thing they do. And he looked absolutely massive.
Yeah, Langford used to be a bodybuilder, like a very high-level competitive bodybuilder before taking up boxing. So I guess he knows a huge amount about, sort of high muscle mass, low fat mass. He's obviously got a very big frame.
I think is he also a professional nutritionist as well? I think he's got a degree or a master's in nutrition. He's a big guy. He might give Eubank Jr. some rounds.
He Agogo is 5'11" and a half. He's certainly not a big middleweight. I've seen a fair few guys bigger than him. I don't know. Tommy Langford looks about 6. He's about 6 foot. I think he's billed as 6 foot, but he looks about 6'1.5". He looks about my height, to be honest. Tommy Langford. He looks huge, absolutely massive.
What weight do you reckon you could make, Jet?
If I could get into proper shape,
Would you make heavyweight?
Oh, I could come in at heavyweight. Yeah. Probably super middle. Yeah. Super middle, light, heavy, maybe something like that. Something in the middle.
Well, I'm 5'11", and I reckon I'd make lightweight or super featherweight.
What?
I'd say so, yeah.
Robert Easter's 5'11", I think, or 5'9".
Yeah, I'd say I'd
Robert Easter's about 6 foot, isn't he?
Yeah, Robert Easter's 5'11", I think, something. When I saw his, he's 5'11". That is massive, Tom. That's huge. What about you, Gossip, and Paul and Sherry?
Well, I've got a half marathon this weekend, so I've been training very, very hard. I'm pretty lean at the minute, and funnily enough, I actually weighed myself today. I'm about 6'4", and I am 170 pounds. So I reckon,
super middle.
I know, mate. I'll be super middle when I wake up tomorrow morning. I reckon 160. I'll make 160 if I go there once it.
Tom, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it with anybody.
And I'll make it without a single subway as well. Yeah. So,
that's only because you're cutting weight.
there we go. There we go. Yeah, that wasn't included on the topics list for tonight. What weights the panel could make. But yeah, there you go. Guys, let's go around the squad, see if anyone else has got anything to add before we wrap it up. Sorry, have you got anything more to throw in, mate?
No, mate. I'm just along for the ride at this point.
No worries at all. Paul?
No. I think we've covered just about everything.
We've got covered a lot of ground tonight, haven't we? Jet, what about yourself, mate?
Nah, I'm good today.
Cool. Tom?
I just like to think. I think we should talk and slag off the Sky commentators a bit more.
Go for it, mate.
Well, we certainly will next week, I'm sure, because Anthony Crawler's fighting Jorge Linares. So get ready for it, boys. Get ready.
Yeah, like I think the fix is going to be in that fight. Like the scorecards in the big British fights for the last year or two have been against away fighters have been absolutely pathetic. We talk about Germany cards being bad. Like, you're asking me, the British cards are as bad as the German cards at the moment.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Like all these matchroom, the headliners, we had Warrington cards, we had Stewie Hall card being bad, we had fucking the Kell Brook card being bad, we had fucking the Scott Quigg card being bad. Like every top fight, the big draw fighter, if he's in, we had Ricky fucking Burns being bad. Like, what the fuck? Speaking of Ricky Burns, what do you call him? Broner was looking for 8 figures to fight Pacquiao. So basically, he turned down probably making like 8 million against Pacquiao to fight fucking Ricky Burns.
Hold on. I've got something. Did we touch on Danny Garcia versus John Molina Jr.?
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh no, no, we're not talking about that.
Fucking bullshit, mate.
Has that actually been confirmed? Is it?
Well, it's rumored, isn't it? They're saying that Andre Berto's saying that he hasn't priced himself out, but he wants to fight John Molina. And to be fair, if we go to the video with his dad saying, why fight a Thurman and a Porter when you can fight a Saka, not a Salka, a Saka, then I guess it fits that mold, doesn't it, really? And that's another easy win for Garcia, and he can carry on cherry picking until his mandatory, Mr. Amir Khan. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and continue holding that belt ransom as well while he fucking does whatever the fuck he's doing, like.
Absolutely, yes. It's really been a bit of a mess on that side, hasn't it? But yeah, I don't know what Broner. I think Tom's spot on 8 figures. I think he's in a dream world. But cool, guys. We'll wrap it up. Really, really good show tonight. Enjoyed it. We covered a huge amount of ground, which is always good. Thanks to everyone in the panel for giving up your time as always. Some real good topics covered. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to tune in tonight. Everyone who's taken the time to hit the thumbs up button, as always, massively appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button on this channel. You can also check out Jet's channel, which is Boxing Discussions, and support that one as well. But we're back. We do it every Wednesday at 8:30. This time next week, we'll be discussing Liam Smith causing the biggest upset, having knocked out Canelo Alvarez. We'll be discussing Alexander Usyk, the new #1 at cruiserweight. We'll be discussing Anthony Crawler versus Linares. It's going to be a pack show as always. So very much looking forward to that already. And yeah, thanks very much, guys. Hope everyone has a good evening.
I think we'll probably be discussing Liam Smith knocking out Canelo and still not getting a decision.
Yeah. Oh god. Anyway, guys, take care.
Yeah,
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.